What gave you the courage to start MakeMyTrip back in that time frame in India where we used to always joke that dial-up broadband theek se nahi chalta hai?
The level of digitization was zilch at that point in time. Internet did not really exist. We were early, and we had to accept the fact.
People were looking but not booking.
Yeah.
They were using us as a frame of reference. Compare, go to the travel agent. Now with mobile, everything changed. And with cheap mobile, everything changed.
My thesis is very simple. What's being done on the phone will move to the internet fast. All of our young entrepreneurs who are listening may not even be able to think of year 2000.
2001, our world imploded. And you mentioned two of the things, dotcom bust, 9/11, and for us, even SARS, which was the grandfather of COVID, great-grandfather, all happened at the same time. So for travel, we were ravaged. It was the triple-whammy.
Yeah.
When we IPO'd, we had 75-80% of our people who had ESOPs.
Yeah.
It was so widespread. People didn't even recognize the value of that paper thing, right? Back then. Suddenly that paper has become very, very valuable.
Yeah.
The AI opportunity it's the internet opportunity plus the smartphone plus mobile internet plus app all rolled into one on steroids, which means it's also a big threat. So we are doubling down because otherwise, some kid in some garage is going to come and eat our lunch.
Welcome to another episode of the Blume Podcast Season 4. The theme for the season is Destiny Avenged. Each conversation spotlights people who fought past rejections and near misses to earn a chapter in the book on India's startup history. This season is brought to you in partnership with IDFC First Bank and Ultrahuman, a Blume portfolio company. Today we are joined by two gentlemen who are part of the OG gang of the India internet story, Kalra and Rajesh Magow, co-founders of MakeMyTrip. At a time when India was still dialing up to discover the internet, they dared to build an online travel company. Launched in 2000, they complete 25 years today. They braved the dotcom crash, 9/11, a global-scale financial meltdown in 2008, COVID, much more. They were a NASDAQ IPO, believe it or not, in 2010. Against all odds, they've survived near bankruptcy and thrived, bringing online flight bookings, hotels, and holidays into the mainstream for India. From scraping through cash crunches and salary cuts to ringing the bell on NASDAQ, the journey became one of the most persistent and constant reinvention in that journey in India. Today, we'll dive into their toughest calls, their scars, and how they turned near failure into destiny avenged. Welcome to the podcast, Deep and Rajesh.
Thank you so much.
What gave you the courage to start MakeMyTrip back in that time frame in India where we used to always joke that dial-up broadband theek se nahi chalta hai, and how did you think this will get off the ground? And maybe before that story, I always like the guests to say, who are you before that? Like what were you from an entrepreneurial background? What inspired to even think of starting as an entrepreneur?
There was a company called AMF Bowling.
Okay.
Headquartered in Richmond, Virginia.
I've heard of this story, but
the world leader in making bowling equipment and running bowling centers, them and Brunswick. It was like a duopoly market. And I think Goldman Sachs had just taken them as a PIA investment or something. So they were really expanding. That was 1995. There were 10,000 lanes in China already they had put in, total market. Looking at 20,000, India had 0. Actually, we had 4 manual lanes in Qutb Hotel, Delhi. And I had bowled as a kid. And I said, yeah, this should do well. And I got so fascinated, this 1-hour meeting with this gentleman who was heading their business development ended up being a 3-4 hour marathon meeting. And I said, I'm on. And it was entrepreneurial. I worked for them. But whatever happened in India was, my doing. I set up a small team. I got all of South Asia to run, including Pakistan. So much for the Americans.
Yeah.
But managed to put in all of 200 lanes in 4 years.
Okay.
So operationally, financially, it was obviously not a success. But I learned a lot. I learned all my street smarts then. I met everyone in India who either owned real estate, which was long enough to take bowling centers, which is 100 feet, and 11 feet to get a pair of lanes.
Was Phoenix Mills in Bombay one of them?
That's my proudest project. So I'll come to that.
Yeah.
So no one could think big. It was always 4 lane, 6 lane.
Yeah.
Till finally Atul Ruia with Phoenix Mills had the vision. He had seen some of this overseas, and he and I got along really well, along with AD Singh, who was CEO for the bowling company. And we set up this 20-lane bowling center where AMF gave a sweet deal, and he gave the space. And it was a model center, 20 lanes, also 8 plus 12. But it connoted what we wanted. But it took me 3 years, 4 years to sell that. And the next one was going to be something with DLF in one of the, and PVR with Ajay Bijli and DLF. And we were going to convert Savitri Cinema in Delhi into a world-class thing. But that just took forever. Upar tragedy happened at that time. And I knew this is going to take too long. Big lesson learned, which I think is, I still stay away from it. And Rajesh and I were talking about this with some other context. Making money on real estate in India is really hard. Unless you are with, I guess, you're a McDonald's or a Haldiram or a, at that time used to be Shoppers Stop or whatever. It's really hard.
It's always outpriced the actual asset.
Yeah, the cost of real estate in India is just too high from the commensurate, what you can
value
earn.
You can earn from it. Yeah.
Also because we have no zoning. So that's a problem today our hotel industry is facing. Where hotel partners tell us the other day, Neil Rage and I were on our common Zoom. And he was saying, listen, it makes no sense for me to now set up hotels because there's no zoning unless an Aerocity comes along or something near the airport in Bombay comes along. I'll never make money, but I can make money doing residential, office, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, tried that 4 years, learned a lot of lessons. Didn't still realize that I liked being an entrepreneur. And the panic set in that my learning has stopped. I would look at my batchmates from IMA and various places and say, I need to go to an organization I can learn. And I joined G Capital and kudos to them for giving me a very exciting job. I was VP for business development, looking at new areas for distribution, which in 99 was the internet pretty much. So I only spent about 16 months there, but I got formally interested in the internet. And in my personal capacity, for me, it was changing everything. And I tried to make some of that happen in G Capital India. And to their credit, Pramod gave us $1 million, set up a team to do gindia.com. But it was clear that was going to be a Saturday project. Obviously, because the bread was buttered from finance. And, the term startup didn't exist then, but now you realize why you need a startup to do different things.
Yeah. But, my story, Karthik, to be honest, started like a very normal middle class thinking background, if you will, right? And that is the background that we came from. Actually, I did my CA. I didn't do my MBA in the same year as Deep did his MBA 92 again.
Okay.
And that's how it started. And what do you do typically after either you do your MBA or you do CA? You would look for a job which is one of the blue chip companies, right? The FMCG blue chip companies or some of the multinationals or let's say Indian great corporate houses and all. And that's exactly what I did, right? So I joined Voltas for a couple of years, 1 year in Bombay, 1 year in Delhi, and large corporate, learned a lot early days. And then I got a very interesting opportunity to actually make a switch. It was a large organization and I couldn't survive beyond 2 years there because it was less action, slow organization, large organization, and I was maybe a little more restless and ambitious. And I got an opportunity, a very interesting tech education company back then. I'm sure you would probably remember that was called Aptech. It's still around, right? And Aptech and NIT back in the days, and there was a computer education.
That is correct.
And basic level computer education to, taking into very many diplomas and nowhere close to, any of the computer engineering colleges and stuff. But a lot of the other sort of population which was wanting to learn computers, we were teaching them. It was a great stint, 5 years, under a very dynamic leader called Ganesh Natarajan. It was fantastic to work, under his vision. And I was doing finance role in Voltas. I was also doing finance role to start with in Aptech, but made a switch. I got an opportunity, made a switch to business role then, there itself, right? Because I always, that part I think was clear. It was, finance was more, sort of, let's say the academic background. Maybe functional expertise, but desire was always to be very close to the business.
Lovely.
Right? So that part was pretty clear. So first opportunity, I grabbed it. So I was leading a division of, Aptech called Aptech Computer Education. Their flagship division. I was a franchise model and we had some 300 centers. I was leading North zone for them when I left. And that was 5 years. Beautiful gold stint, just a golden period for me. A lot of learning and very progressive company early days. So I was quite lucky, from that perspective. So I think then after that was a very interesting move that happened. So, and I call it more as a dry run before MakeMyTrip. And that was a startup, back then called Quantum Education. It was an edtech startup. We were trying to back in the days, a hybrid model of classroom and video lectures, trying to get, Master of Computer Science from University of Illinois back
sitting here,
and a combination of classroom as
you
well
still
as.
haven't achieved this milestone. 25 years.
Exactly. It was back then. That was the attempt made. HCL stalwart, a gentleman called Mr. Anil Dang. He was the one who had set it up. Right. So, he was very. He used to run network before he set it up. But very soon we realized, about 18 months at least, sort of I was there. It was not a scalable model. One, it was very expensive, and it was not necessarily scalable because it was not necessarily live. Although the degree was the same, it wasn't a correspondence degree, if you know what I mean. It was not distance learning and all. It was exactly the same degree, but it wasn't scalable. It was very expensive, maybe pre-sunrise. But it gave me enough, sort of hunger and appetite and perspective change, if you will. It was good to work with some organization where you're sort of building from scratch, if you will, right? And that is when I met Deep. And and again, it is a known thing.
How did that happen, by the way?
Yeah, so
matchmaking.
Yeah, so, actually, regular routine channels, right? I went to meet him through a consultant. He was looking for a CFO.
Okay.
Onam consultant.
Okay. Proper marriage.
Omam consultants, right? Back in the days, used to be big. Like an ABC consultant, there was an Omam consultants as well, right? So, and that's why when I met him. So, and I've said that. And it's in public pretty much in every sort of either podcast or forum, that the game changed when I met him. And it wasn't at that point in time on my mind, to be honest, that MakeMyTrip as a business model, what is that? In dotcom, or was I thinking dotcom or internet at that point in time? And Deep had built that model. I wasn't thinking at that point in time that. I was just, in my mind, it was only, I want to work in a young company. I want to work in a startup. I want to be part of the journey from literally scratch, etc. And that was one part of it. That was exciting. And then after meeting Deep, everything changed, because at that point in time, and it is true, and a lot of the time that people say at this point in time, from an investor perspective, and you've been investor, all your life or most of your life so far. That you actually back the team, right? You look for a founder, you back the team, which was exactly what the thought process at that point in time in my mind was. Because MakeMyTrip didn't really exist at that point in time, right? It was
too young to judge.
It was just too young to judge an organization in that sense, right? So you were basically meeting a person, getting comfortable with that meeting, and and making a judgment call, right? And he was making a judgment call on me, and I was making perhaps a judgment call on him, right? So that's how it started.
2001, our world imploded. And you mentioned two of the things, dotcom bust, 9/11, and for us, even SARS, which was the grandfather of COVID, great-grandfather, all happened at the same time. So for travel, we were ravaged. It was the triple-whammy. And we were totally ravaged. At that time, I think, was the real test of what do we believe in? On do we believe enough? Because one bought back the company, Ventures wanted to wrap up, bought back the company, whatever money we could.
At that early?
In 2001. So that was our toughest moment of existentialism. Do we believe or not? And at that point of time, I think that's when Rajesh from the outside was helping us. By the way, that thing on the outside, he was doing a build, operate, transfer to fund MakeMyTrip. So that was e-bookers in UK. They wanted something done. They wanted both of us to run it. I obviously wanted to straddle this. So we had a nice understanding. He was running that. Delivered
that's a beautiful connection to e-bookers.
Delivered a beautiful center to them with 250 seats to 30 seats and state-of-the-art center. And then when we got him back, and two other gentlemen, Keyur and Sachin. And, I always say it, just recently I was saying their contributions to MMT, all three of them, have in no measure been,
So I got the number wrong. It's not 20, it's 25. Four sitting with e-bookers as well. So you've been there almost pretty much.
25.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I think for us, that was our real moment of reckoning. Do we believe enough to go without salaries, to make sacrifices, to convert salaries into, whatever this would be worth, this paper? And so many people left. And I think we're glad they left because we couldn't afford everyone. So yeah, that's the reality. But they left on their own because it was clear. Senior people take a cut, junior people, no raises. Overnight, we shrank from 42 people to 24. So we lost 40 people, 40%. We moved from a nice office in the cheap area, Okhla Phase 1, but at 30 rupees a square foot, to a mezzanine in the same building at 12 rupees a square foot. And a long thing, it was like a railway bogie, where we sat and we worked together. And three of us, when we swiveled around, we had a little round table smaller than this. Our knees hit each other, but we still had a TV up there to watch cricket. 2005 to 2010, we grew 25x.
Wow.
We raised 4 rounds. So safe on each round. Second round split between Helion and Sierra. Because again, we're nice guys and couldn't say no to one. And I'm glad we got both because we had Ashish and Sanjeev from Helion and we got Tim Guleri from Sierra. Tim is still on our board.
Ooh,
so Tim sold, Sierra sold out in 2010 after the IPO.
So
we requested him to stay on. And he has been a rock. I mean, and the lesson for everyone is, if you get a good board member,
don't lose them.
Don't let them, just like an employee, just like a colleague, don't let them go. We just wanted Tim's wisdom. Also, he brought a very different perspective because he had grown his own company, Saucefire, taken it public, then been in Sierra. And he's just one of those who gives 100%. So all calls are at bad times for him because he's sitting in San Francisco. Never grumble, never miss a call. 5 a.m. in the morning, 1 a.m. at night, Tim's on the call.
Amazing.
He's just amazing and he's been very, very grateful. Very, very useful. We've been very grateful. And then third round was Tiger.
Tiger, yes.
And Lee Fixel and Tiger 2 rounds. He's a dear friend. And then Rajesh got to know him really well too because he got Rajesh on the Flipkart board, etc.
Yeah, I remember.
And we have to give credit to Sanjeev Bikhchandani, who was another independent for us. And great friend, philosopher, guide. And I think, if there is to be a benchmark for corporate governance, it's Sanjeev. Learned so much from him. And Sanjeev tells us in this board meeting in January 2010, and in his typical style, saw the material, saw the slides, and he says, "You guys are ready to IPO." And Rajesh and I looked at each other and I said, "Really?" He's saying, "Yeah." This was our size. And we were 40 million in revenues then.
That's right. They were actually not super sized when they
were 40 million looking at 60 million. Profitable because we weren't super investing in hotel or anything. He's saying, yeah, you guys are ready. We IPO'd then. And, Sanjeev, I won't say man of few words, but man of fast words. Speaks very fast. We had Americans on the board had to tell him to slow down. They couldn't understand what he was saying. And so Rajesh and I said, okay, we'll do some work post the board meeting. We had not thought of it yet. It was there. One thing was very clear.
Well, you have backers. There was no need to.
One thing was very clear. We want to build for the forever. We don't want to sell. We were in it. And we said, okay. And we put our heads together. And I think next month, Rajesh organized this bake-off meeting. We had bankers, we had lawyers, and we had our auditors. So everyone was there, Morgan Stanley, KPMG, lawyers, Latham and Watkins, and then SNR in India. Everyone together in the room, tried in Gurgaon, and it was the bake-off. And Sanjeev warned us, list in India. There's another story, India versus US, if we have time. You'll take in India, it'll take you 1 year. US, we don't even know how long it'll take you. And all the market feedback we got, our board was split down the middle. So I'll tell you quickly. So I took a week off. Rajesh and I spoke to many people. I spoke to at least 6 people in depth of the experience of listing in US and India. And finally, we came to it. E-commerce model in India is not understood. We were e-commerce, unlike InfoEdge.
That's right.
InfoEdge got their money from companies.
Correct.
In checks.
B2B.
Ours was B2C. And we felt we'll be better off in the US. And we decided to go.
More comps.
And more comps.
More analyst
So there
coverage.
was Expedia and then there was C-Trip. And we went ahead as the C-Trip of India or the Expedia of India. Slide number 14 on our deck was just the comps. People only wanted to see that deck. So, and full credit, I think, to Rajesh, CFO and his team. In 6 months, we IPO'd on August 12, 2010.
I know.
6 months from kickoff, bake-off meeting.
Amazing.
So they pitched tent in office. I was thanking KPMG the other day and he was driving them and they just worked relentlessly with a goal. We have to catch the summer. We got the last week before the break when everyone, all of Wall Street's gone. Wall Street's gone. Boston's gone. And we were marketing. We did a 2-week road show.
It's the Hamptons month, yeah.
Yeah, you know where they are. So they're clearly not in their office.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, we met that window. We priced it at $14 and, the rest is history.
So the next decade, it was I call it like one of those mini Diwali moments in the ecosystem when you bought Redbus in 2013-14.
Ibibo.
Sorry, Ibibo bought them, sorry. And then... there was...
we bought
Ibibo.
Go Ibibo and Redbus.
Yeah,
Go Ibibo and Redbus.
Yeah. That's right. So Go Ibibo happened a little later. First, they bought Redbus. Was all
That's correct. That's correct.
And then clearly travel seems like a sort of a duopoly, oligopoly market. There's economies of scale. Consolidation is inevitable. But it still takes a lot of courage to sort of integrate assets, buy assets.
Yeah.
What made that event happen in 16-17? I know it started getting very competitive. Yeah. So give us the highlights of the next decade because, yes, more Indians came in with mobile phones and Geo and whatnot. How did it change the travel business? And was that a reaction to the change of the market in itself or it was inevitable that this would happen irrespective?
No, I think that decade, you're absolutely right. Right up to COVID was a certain kind of great organic growth, cheap mobile internet. And apps was a big turning point, big flip. Yeah. All of that, we were getting the benefits of that as market leader. I think the whole point about the hotel market.
Yeah.
So air had moved online very well. And airlines were very clear, you can't discount our fares, etc., which we love. We love fair competition.
Yeah.
Because then you win on the back of better product, better experience.
That is correct.
Hotels is very fragmented. On hotels, we tried every trick in the game, a lot of marketing, a lot of this thing, getting Ranveer and Alia to say, buy hotels online, blah, except deep discounting.
Yeah.
We
didn't believe in it.
We didn't believe in it. We don't believe in it today. He's a CA, I'm an MBA. We learned it in a very different. So we said, you can make less money, but you can't lose money on a transaction. I mean, that's crazy business, right? That means if you sell 1 million units, you lose 1 million into per unit. But obviously, Naspers had a different playbook. And, they had deep pockets and they were able to do this game. And it started in China, I guess, this game of, deep discounting, etc. And they brought that to India. I must say that opened the hotel market. Created a big problem for us because we were listed. So if we matched it, our P&L didn't look good. If we didn't match it, we were losing market share. So we were really stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we tried various things, I think, for 18 months, 24 months. And finally, we figured leverage balance sheet and probably what we need to do is, really consolidate. So later when we were chatting with Naspers, with the folks, Pat and all, this was their plan. So, they had one plan. They're going to sell to us, but they forced us to buy.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, it worked out well only because of one reason. We both had realized from a couple of acquisitions we had done in the past, particularly those not in India or overseas, if you don't get into it yourself or have someone who is the what I call karta dharta of that acquisition, it'll fail.
Yeah.
So we rolled up our sleeves. We decided we're going to have to make it work. It's too big. We didn't touch Redbus because it was run by two professionals who were doing a great job and there was no overlap. We didn't have a bus business.
Yeah.
And Prakash and Anoop have been doing it since then and doing a great job. And, just get overall guidance from either him or me. Earlier it was me, now it's him.
Yeah.
And they know what they're doing. Now we look at synergies on buses, etc. But by and large, that was a very well-run unit. I think great culture too.
Yeah.
But on Go Ibibo, there's a big overlap. We couldn't obviously have everyone. It made no sense. You can't have two CFOs. You can't have two this thing. So we did whatever we had to do upfront. But then in all fairness, we wanted to embrace all the goodness we got of the brand and actually keep that as a brand and play to its advantage. So when we initially also did our market analysis, we realized the overlap in the brands was not that crazy. It was actually in the low 20%. So MakeMyTrip had a higher income profile. This had a younger and lower income profile. And that we cleaved it further. So now the overlap in the two brands is probably in the low teens. I don't even know what it is now. Yeah,
Even now,
very clear.
What are your best COVID stories? I know we had many travel businesses which had revenue go to zero literally in that month.
We reported a quarter, we were down 96% on
Holy
revenues.
cow. Yeah.
So I started the call by saying this should be called a lack of earnings call. No one found it funny. But the whole world of travel had imploded.
Yeah.
And one investor asked, where did the 4% come from? Because national lockdown. Those were emergency stays and emergency travel that was happening. Hotels were turned into, isolation bays, etc. That was crazy. And I think the toughest time. So here's the thing. During COVID, our challenge was not existentialism. We had, correct me if I think we had 450 million on the balance sheet.
250, and then we raised 250.
Yeah, we raised, at that time. Okay. So we had this thing that we will not.
So tied.
Yeah, we'll be fine unless COVID continues forever. Then the whole world's going to hell anyway, right? So we thought we knew we'd survive. Is to keep people motivated.
That's what.
And a lot of our talent, the best of our talent, the tech and the product and the online marketing and the finance folks, and it's all fungible.
Yeah,
they could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And Zomato was on fire, others were on fire.
Yeah.
So we were losing people and we had to keep them gainfully employed and keep the motivation
going. Yeah.
So a lot of stuff was going on, and Rajesh had new projects they worked on. Ad tech was a baby of that time. Homestay, something which I always thought was a good idea. No one took me seriously till finally everyone said, oh, homestay, people want to live alone. Yeah. Homestay became important for us. We built a lot. We did work on the unification. Arogya Setu was built, which was no money. But it was team was so motivated. So there are good 20, 25 people working only on that during the first wave. So I think a bunch of stuff, cost rationalization with a fervor. You're back towards the wall and you really realize where every penny is going.
Yeah.
And then when you have to bring it back, then you're very miserly about it.
Yeah. So
between Rajesh and Mohit, the CFO, they said, now we're going to measure every dollar where it's going, every rupee.
So amazing culture reset happened.
So yes. And so actually, you end up with a much better cost structure when you come out of it. And we've seen this. And I think everyone who's there, even if you're not a market leader, if you're a solid company, every crisis which hits the whole market, the best companies will come out stronger because the weak can't actually compete. And the best will actually figure out ways of stretching that dollar.
Remarkable, but what next now? I mean, 25 years done, and I know you've seeded and become the chairperson, and Rajesh has done a fantastic job of continuing the legacy. What does the future look like for MakeMyTrip?
Okay, I'll give you my view
both of you
as non-executive chairman, and then I'll give you. So what I would like to see, I can't even still think of it as only a board position.
Yeah,
I do believe that the AI opportunity is it's the internet opportunity plus the smartphone plus mobile internet plus app all rolled into one on steroids, which means it's also a big threat. So we are doubling down because otherwise, some kid in some garage is going to come and eat our lunch. I believe that.
So staying paranoid.
So totally, I'm in Andy Grove's camp, stay paranoid. And I'm always telling the guys, and I'm always pushing, and I love testing our own product and test. And, I have to say this, 2 days ago, I made my first booking speaking in Hindi only to our chatbot, which is lovely. A real booking, not a test booking. I was great. And 90% was great, but 10% there was feedback, which my guys are now tired of my voice notes. This time I type. I give a long this thing, but I think we need to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And so,
never get complacent. Yeah.
So I think, not just Rajesh, our CTO, our CPO, they all seized with this whole thing on AI. And I think we have to almost for us, we were on desktop, I remember, and I have no shame in admitting this, we were losing on UX to ClearTrip.
Yeah.
They were beautiful on desktop. And I was tired of Ashish Gupta, various guys telling us this, Sanjeev saying, and I'm saying, the app moment happened, we said, stop everything, only app. And on app, we never looked back. Yeah. And not that we are competing with them, we just said, listen,
it's a moment. You don't want to lose the moment.
So, be like Wayne Gretzky, be where the puck is going to be, awesome. And not where, chasing.
I know we didn't get time to touch AI, but we got the answer.
So that's my role now. And I'm very happy to tell them, guys, we got to be there. I could be wrong, but I'll keep on pushing them. And then Rajesh will tell you how to execute.
The CEO's version.
No, but I'll tell you, if you really look at it just from an India macroeconomic position point of view, and a lot of people would say today, the next 20, 30 years is going to be India's moment.
Yeah.
No matter what, plus minus will happen, cycles will come and go.
Correct. A few years here.
Yeah, but from a long-term perspective, it's a very, very interesting phase. In fact, in many ways, therefore, the best is yet to come, right? And And if we don't do what Deep was just saying, that, we stay agile, we stay active, we continue to keep innovating, then we would lose this beautiful foundation that we built over 25 years, right?
Yeah.
But if we continue to keep doing that, the best phase is going to be future. Because, the hard work is actually pretty much over in terms of just building blocks, right? And now it is the time for you to be able to just tap into that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because the macroeconomic drivers are in your favor today. You look at the income growing and the disposable income, the consumer habit changing, specifically to travel and tourism, taking more trips than ever before. And you look at those cohorts and, and people are upgrading from basic to mid-segment to premium, right? What else can you ask for?
That's a wrap on this weekday episode of the Blume Podcast. We've handpicked these moments to give you the most valuable insights in the least amount of time. The full weekend episode drops soon on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. So, stay tuned.
Our season partner Ultrahuman is back for a second time. I'm biased as the seed investor here, but their immensely loved brand is making waves globally. Ultrahuman is a health tech pioneer redefining how we track and improve our health. Their sleek titanium ring air and its new rare metal cousins accurately track sleep, movement, and recovery to deliver real-time health insights and personalized nudges. Ultrahuman is creating a unique health ecosystem built on top of the wearable data. It's just launched Blood Vision in the US in addition to India, a blood testing service that offers a panel of over 100 longevity and chronic disease biomarkers with the convenience of an at-home test. They're also launching Ultrahuman Home globally for environment-aware analysis and sleep insights. Whatever your health fix, go sign up and experience being truly Ultrahuman. Our season partner, IDFC First Bank, has earned its reputation as one of India's most startup-friendly banks through its First Wings program, which provides dedicated mentorship and tailored financial solutions to help early-stage ventures scale effectively. Coincidentally, many of Blume's portfolio companies, much later stage, also partner with IDFC First Bank for their banking and financial needs. If you're well-funded and scaling, they're a great lending and banking partners, and our portfolio companies would attest to that.